Hello and welcome to today's webcast brought to you by Fire Engineering. Today's event, Benefits of Wireless Gas Detection for Emergency Response Teams, will be presented by Bobby Shekan, the Director of Product Management for Ray Systems, and Jeff Schwerdfager, who is Special Operations Task Force and Hazmat Coordinator for the Santa Clara County Fire Department. Jeff is a fire captain with 30 years of professional fire service, and he's been the Santa Clara County Operations Chief for Hazmat, the chairman of that from 2007 to 2011. And he's also been an instructor at the California Specialized Training Institute for Hazmat. The webcast is sponsored by Ray Systems, which is a leading global provider of rapidly deployable, connected, intelligent gas and radiation detection systems that enables real-time safety and security threat detection. Ray Systems products are used in more than 120 countries by many of the world's leading corporations and government agencies. The company offers a full line of wirelessly enabled solutions, including personal, handheld, transportable, and fixed instruments designed to meet the needs of any usage scenario. So this presentation is going to be both live and interactive, so you can ask questions at any time by clicking on the Ask a Question button in the presentation window. If you're running pop-up blocking software, you'll need to disable it to view the webcast. In addition, it's recommended that you close down all other applications for better performance. For your convenience, this presentation will be available on demand within 24 hours of the live event. A reminder email message will be sent to all registrants with a link to the archive, and you'll be able to get it to the presentation archive at fireengineering.com. In addition to supporting audiences on the Internet using Adobe Flash and Microsoft Windows Media, Penwell now offers webcast viewing via Apple tablets and phones running iOS 4.2 and older. You now have seamless access to both live and on-demand web presentations accessed from your iPad and iPhone. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Bobby Shekan.
Thank you, Peter. And on behalf of Ray Systems and Fire Engineering, I'd like to thank everyone for joining this webinar. The topic that we would like to discuss today is the benefits of wireless gas detection for emergency response teams. And specifically, the agenda that we'd like to cover is to provide a summary of some of the challenges that are faced during these types of incidents. And in terms of looking at an integrated wireless system approach, a system-type solution, what are the key components of that type of system, as well as highlighting some of the benefits that we can gain by using these systems to respond to CBRNE type incidents. Also, we'll go ahead and provide you a quick summary of some of the things to consider when evaluating such systems. And certainly our guest speaker, Jeff, will also highlight some of the factors that in a real-world scenario that they looked at in terms of choosing the equipment. And then finally wrap up with some more details as to, what are the system components that they have used and what are the benefits that they have seen. When dealing with hazmat or CBRNE type events, there are really many challenges for the responders. In addition to being tasked with the difficult duties of mitigating the hazards at hand, they must try to minimize the impact to the community and the public, and do so all while keeping themselves safe. So the initial task at hand is really to identify what, if anything, we are dealing with. And as part of this effort, responders must assess if a reading on a detection monitor is a real response or a false positive. Now, if we look at the hazmat incident that we're showing in this particular slide here, it's it's safe to say that any reading on a monitor can be assumed to be a real response. Now, in terms of what type of threat we're dealing with and what concentrations, that's a different story altogether. However, for many incidents involving hazmat or CBRNE type scenarios, physical clues are really rarely as obvious as they are in this particular picture. And the age-old question of is it a stupid meter or am I dealing with a real response on a sensor is something that must be addressed. Now, that within itself can be a fairly big challenge, but it's really just the start of the response protocol in terms of what's required to be able to ultimately stop the incident and mitigate the threat. So other questions that must be addressed fairly quickly and done so in a fast-changing, fast-paced, unknown type environment are things such as what is the actual source that we are dealing with. Now, again, this could be a fairly big task by itself. And again, looking at this particular example, in fact, you see a good example where it could be quite difficult to answer the simple question of, where is the source located? Obviously, we do have a big incident here, but in terms of identifying where the source is coming from, that can certainly be a big challenge. Now, the type and the origin of the threat are really needed to start the initial planning of how to stop the incident. But in order to really be able to plan a comprehensive response effort, there are other things that really need to be taken into consideration, especially when we start talking about estimating the potential impact on the community, and how best to utilize our own assets in terms of responders and detection equipment. So specifically, if we're dealing with, say, a chemical threat, the rate at which the hazard is being released, as well as the airborne concentration in the air, coupled with any sort of meteorological information such as wind speed and wind direction, are really valuable input points to have in order to be able to calculate the total impact that this plume can have and start to answer some of the other difficult questions such as, where is this actual threat heading from here on? So looking ahead, what are we really dealing with here? Now, in order to coordinate an effective response plan, really some of the decisions that need to be made are, actually how best to utilize the typically limited resources that might be available. So in other words, where do we actually send our folks? How do we suit them up in terms of personal protective equipment? What type of gas detection or radiation identification type equipment do we want to deploy? So, then to do an accurate characterization of the actual hazards in the atmosphere is really required in order to determine such things as far as, what is the best location to send responders and how to gear them up and how to equip them. And really a key, what can be a big challenge if it's a large-scale enough incident is now how do you deal with the tasks we've talked about so far, as well as attempting to coordinate merging with mutual aid response type teams. So that can include both from the sharing and integration of gas or radiation or chemical warfare, any sort of sensing detection monitors, as well as just the logistics of how do you coordinate that type of response. And ultimately, all these efforts and questions are geared towards the primary mission goals of stopping the threat, one, and protecting impact onto the public and the community. So as part of the protection effort, decisions such as who needs to be sheltered in place potentially, or which roads may need to be closed are things that must be decided. And such difficult decisions do have impact on the effectiveness of the response strategy and certainly can pose potential liability both for the response team themselves and the public, in terms of obviously health dangers, but as well as any sort of liability issues or monetary considerations that can come about as a result of over-responding, if you will. So in other words, how do we know how large of a population to shelter in place, or which areas, which businesses are going to be impacted? These all add to the complexity of the response effort. So if we look at the more traditional response plan, specifically if we're looking at detection or the tools we might use to characterize what are we actually dealing with in the atmosphere, typically you would have a pair of responders that you would send into what we'll call the hot zone with a backup team, and depending on the size of the event, certainly can be larger than that. But it was basically based on the premise of equipping one or several individuals with monitoring equipment, with some sort of communication device to be able to start to get a view of what's going on over a fairly large area. And there are some inherent shortcomings with this type of approach, and we've listed a few of them here, starting with the ability to identify the threat that we're dealing with. So, these days a lot of monitors have become quite sophisticated in terms of the ability to equip them with a variety of sensors, which has its own potential drawbacks to consider. But ultimately, there is a limitation to how much we can put in one particular box. So that, coupled with the fact that we have limited number of folks that we could send out to perform sampling, and sampling that's really, if you look at it, a snapshot, right? So at that particular moment in time, at that particular location. So these things coupled really make it a difficult task to get a real-time view of what's going on in a particular zone. And certainly there's associated with that is that longer response times, right? So the coordination of those efforts certainly takes some time. There is inherently a lack of redundancy in terms of with a systems type approach or the ability to network a variety of sensors. You do have the benefit that, as we discussed, is it a stupid meter or just a sensor? If you have one sensor going off, is it really a threat, or is it a maintenance issue? If you have 2 or 3 sensors going off, especially if it's a combination of different technologies, you can start to gain more confidence in terms of, this is something real that we are dealing with. And, if we start to involve larger populations, and that could be, if it's a public venue type, that could be a sporting event, it could just be a gathering in everyday life type scenario, there are definitely some challenges of this one-man, one-meter approach when it comes to screening, large populations. Unfortunately, it's just the nature that, if we're dealing with a scheduled event, there are definitely challenges of even trying to put the entire population through, portals, if you will, to try to screen for that. There's definitely some logistical challenges there that make that difficult. And as we discussed, if it involves, if it's a large enough incident where we may have national type response teams or even local mutual aid teams that are involved, with this one-meter, one-man type approach, it can be done, but it certainly will take longer time, and it can be difficult to try to integrate, what are we getting with other teams that may be involved to start to paint a picture of what's going on in the atmosphere. So in terms of looking at the solution, really the integration of what have become fairly robust, field-proven wireless networks with both portable and what I would call, transportable detection monitors, coupled with, sophisticated software running on advanced computers these days, really allows you more of a system approach where a network of sensors provides real-time data over a wide area. So again, as opposed to getting snapshots of particular locations, we can now really begin to take a look real-time at multiple locations. And there's some inherent benefits of being able to do that. What we can start to do now is, with the ability to couple these sensors with GPS readings, as an example, we can start to overlay that information on a local map and or an image of a facility potentially. So what this really allows us to do is really get a look into the hot zone or the threat zone remotely, and that really provides some enhancements to what we're able to do in terms of looking at multiple locations, providing a second set of eyes to the folks that are actually within that threat zone, and coupled with other capabilities when we start talking about decision support software. So we'll show you an example of plume modeling as a case. There are certainly other tools available. But now, because we are getting all this information in real time, it does really give us the flexibility to take that and start to apply it to other solutions, again, such as plume modeling being one example, which even provide us more information to make some of those decisions that we talked about. It also includes other options because, again, it is a system approach where we are bringing all the information in, and once we have it, we can start to do some interesting things in terms of remote alarm notification. So not only are you going to get the local alarms from the monitor within that wireless zone, we can provide real-time readings at the command center, but in addition to that, the systems these days can be set up to do a couple of things, including pushing that data real time to another location. So if there's an offsite expert, or if there's a large enough event where you want to coordinate a multi-agency response and ultimately somebody wants to view that information, that capability is available. And we can start to do things like even do some trend analysis, based on the types of response that we're getting on the monitors to help us identify the threat and ultimately stop the incident. And really, in terms of the process, so obviously the ability to get the real-time threat data allows us to do the evaluation, start to answer some of those questions and get a feel for, what is actually in the atmosphere, leading to the ability to make some decisions, like do we shelter in place, or what areas do we need to potentially evacuate based on the wind parameters, where is this threat heading next if it's a chemical type release, with the ultimate goals of, as we discussed, stopping the incident and protecting both the responders that are tasked with doing the response as well as the general public. So if we start to look at the different major components of this type of system, so, on the last slide we really discussed from really more on the software side or the command host side where we bring in all this information. If we look at the detector side or the monitoring sensor side of the system, again, that's one of the benefits of being able to use a system approach where we do network these different types of technologies together. So some examples include, handheld monitors that can help us detect toxic industrial chemicals, chemical warfare agents, radiation, and we're not just limited to sensors for the detection of threats that may be airborne. What we can do now is really start to couple this detection information with other sensing technology, such as meteorological, again, to give us things like wind speed, wind direction, things like physiological, where we can equip the responders with sensors that will measure their heart rate, heartbeat, posture, and things like that, coupled with man-down sensors within the monitors, really does provide an increased safety net or a second layer of safety at the command center in terms of what's really going on with the responders and the sensors within the threat area that they are covering. Now, if we were to take a look at what a deployment scenario might look like, and again, really, if you look at a lot of the traditional hazmat response type tools are appropriate for what we might tag more as CBRNE or terrorist type incidents, because ultimately a lot of the threats remain the same and the response tools will be the same. So in this case, we're looking at some sort of loss of containment. Again, that could be both accidental or ill-intended, and we have some sort of chemical release into the atmosphere. And so one of the first steps was really to deploy the portable MET station, and based on that, that gives us a general area that could be affected. And now what we can do is deploy a set of wireless monitors into that area. And what that will do is, because it is measured in real time, it is basically going to do an advanced back calculation and give us a fairly accurate assessment of, how much of this particular threat had to have been released initially to generate that type of plume. And we get a nice color-coded plume over a mapping area, including some facilities that may be at risk. And this can be both real-time and forward-looking in terms of where this is heading. And obviously, as the event transpires, you can see the plume starts to get smaller because, let's say in this case, we were able to contain the threat. And because the monitors are measuring that all real time, it's going to continuously correct the plume. So again, if we, going back to one of the benefits we discussed, which is the ability to take these real-time sensor readings and now feed them into other systems, what that allows us to do is now, essentially, as opposed to a traditional plume model, at the end of the day, this is still a model, but the difference is that we are measuring real time and constantly doing a check and saying, do these readings make sense with what the model is actually predicting? And then if we were to drill down, one layer down further, just to give you a sampling of, what that might look like. Again, in this case, what we're looking at is a plume that's been generated. To the right there, we have our real-time weather and sensor data information. At the top pane, it's displaying to us what the chemical threat of concern is. In this case, we're dealing with chlorine. It includes a graph of the release in terms of both height and distance. And down at the bottom left, we're looking at potential impact zones. So that could be homes, schools, different residential and commercial buildings that are within that plume. And because all the information is within one area, now you can really start to generate automated reports. You can bring up graphs of showing indoor versus outdoor concentration for a particular building. And really, if you look at it, just this particular screen by itself gives you an idea of where you could just even print screen and hand that to somebody in a command center. And it really does provide a lot of detailed information in terms of, what's the threat that we're dealing with and who's impacted, where are things heading. And I believe at this point there's actually a polling question that you should be coming across, so we'll go ahead and just pause for 5 seconds to allow you to take a look at that poll question. Okay. Taking a look, just to give you a sampling of some of the specific applications where we've seen the use of wireless sensing detections used over the years. Obviously, we talked about general hazmat type response. That could be something as typical as say a tanker rolled over on the highway. To more involved events. It can be certainly public venue protection, so that I gave you some samples earlier where it could be a lot of sporting type events. It could be inaugurations for political parties. Essentially anytime you can have a large gathering indoors or outdoors of folks. These types of systems certainly have a lot of benefits that can be used in terms of rapid deployment, the ability to move them fairly easily, and they can be a valuable tool in terms of planning protection for these types of events. And certainly, because of a lot of the similar characteristics, they can also be used in more permanent type deployments. So that could be at ports, it could be at actually military facilities or installations where the system is just left up and running, say, as a fence line type monitoring system. And other traditional applications where the ability to use this wireless type system just has some added benefits include things like decontamination, certainly source identification, because we are able to view different monitors real time. It can be a pretty valuable tool in terms of pinpointing, where is this threat actually coming from. Fire overhaul is another area where we've seen more and more interest in terms of the ability to have real-time readings just outside the area where fire overhaul activities are being performed, to make sure that you have a second set of eyes on the folks that are in that atmosphere to monitor for things such as HCN or carbon monoxide or other threats that may be present. And here, just I guess one more thing to highlight, as you can see, one of the benefits we talked about is obviously the ability to deploy sensors within an area and try to minimize how many folks would actually have to be in that zone. And it is not an uncommon application where these sensors will actually be mounted on some sort of robotics to further take advantage of that type of capability as well. So if we were to kind of summarize some of the key benefits of these types of systems, again, the ability to really see in the hot zone, which can be an effective tool to provide us early warning and enable quicker response, I would say is certainly a big key benefit of the system. The ability to overlap different sensors to speciate or to really confirm what we're dealing with, and we have an example coming up to show that a bit more, and as well as giving you an example of one of the benefits of this type of system approach when we're trying to merge response efforts with other folks. So in this case, we're looking at kind of representing this functionality or capability of overlapping sensors by using circles. So essentially each circle represents the range seen by a particular sensor, and by being able to overlay these different sensing technologies, we're able to pinpoint and zoom and find out what we're actually dealing with. Now certainly this can be done without the use of a real-time monitoring system, but the ability to have that information real-time makes this a lot easier to do and a lot more effective. So if we were to look at a specific example, here we have, say, toxic sensors, an electrochemical sensor specifically designed for ammonia. Most of the sensors max out around 200 parts per million, so in this case we know we have at least 200 parts per million. It certainly could be more. We do have a PID sensor, which we know actually shows good response to ammonia. It's currently showing 25 parts per million, but that's on an isobutylene scale because that's what the monitor was calibrated on. If we were fairly confident that it was ammonia we were dealing with, we can go ahead and scale the readings and actually apply correction factor, which in this case happens to be 9.7. So we would know that between the toxic sensor and the PID sensor, there's a good bet that we might have between 200 to 250 parts per million of ammonia. Now there are other, physical clues such as smell and different things which have their own trade-offs that can be looked at. But in this case, we know that the chemical monitor also has a man-down sensor, which is currently an alarm indicating that the monitor and potentially the operator, if they have the monitor on them, have not moved in at least 90 seconds. And we've coupled this with other data coming from a physiological monitor that shows that the breath rate and the heart rate are below normal, what they should be. So really, you can start to see the point here is that by overlapping different technologies, it really gives us a lot more information than we were able to get from, say, just one sensor from a particular monitor. And here we could potentially even do other things, or it could be something as simple as even colorimetric tubes or IMS technology. You can certainly start to really speciate and pinpoint the thread that you're dealing with this capability of overlapping technologies. And real quick, just taking a look at the mutual aid response example that we were talking about. So in this case, what we're showing is the ability, if you had an incident, you might have the first team show up with 3 monitors. They're able to view their sensor information real time, but they're also able to push that information back to a command center. And as the different teams come online, we can go ahead and do the same thing. So we're now, not only are we locally viewing our monitors, but we're able to coordinate that effort back to another particular view. And even from there, if we wanted to, we could take that system information. Now, you do have to have some way of accessing, in this case, the Internet. That could be Wi-Fi, cellular card. It could be a variety of ways. But we can certainly take that information and push it to as many other locations as we wanted to. Some of the things to consider if evaluating these types of systems. Certainly, as much as possible, if you can find proven wireless systems, things that have actually worked in emergency type response scenarios, there's definitely that is a preferred full detection portfolio in terms of how many different types of sensing technologies can actually be integrated onto that platform. Is it coming from somebody who's assembling different components from 5, 6 different companies, or is it a manufacturer that is capable of providing both the radios, the sensors, and different types of solutions? Certainly, ease of use is a big part. There's a lot of wonderful tools out there, but if they're not easy to use, they may not be practical. And more and more an open platform, so the ability to take sensor information from different types of monitors, the ability to take the system information and integrate it with other systems, that is definitely a big key capability, and one that plays into the scalability of the system. Can the system grow with your needs? Certainly want to look at things like total cost of ownership, so not just the acquisition cost, but what is it going to cost to maintain the equipment over the life of the system. Interoperability, so there are quite a few existing wireless systems in the field, so if you're going to be integrating with those types of folks, that would be a key benefit. Versatility of the wireless system, so again, it's outside the scope of this particular presentation, but there are a lot of different types of wireless radio technologies, and they do have different trade-offs, so that's an area you certainly want to look at. And again, time is a key thing that we must be conscious of, so rapid deployment is another key thing to look at. And in summary, I'd like to say that wireless CBRNE detection systems really do enable quicker characterization of the atmosphere. They do have a lot of benefits. They do not replace people, or do not replace a lot of things that traditional methods, but they certainly can be a key addition, which will allow you to know what's going on in the hot zone, allow you to track responders in real time, enable sending help quicker to help both responders and the public, and really allowing the folks that are tasked with addressing the situation to focus on their primary job, with the added benefit that you do have a second set of eyes on those monitor readings, and as well as coordinating with other response teams or offsite experts. And really ultimately what we're talking about is the ability to know now, because the decisions that you do make do affect a lot of different folks. So with that, I will go ahead and pause. I think you have another polling question at this point, so we'll go ahead and give you a few seconds to look at that polling question, and I will go ahead and turn it back over to Peter, and I thank you for your time.
All right, thanks a lot, Bobby, for that bit of the presentation. Please take the time to answer the polling questions there. And coming up next, we're going to be talking to Jeff Schwerdtfeger of the Santa Clara County Fire Department Special Ops. Jeff?
Thank you, Peter. Good morning to you. Thank you very much to Fire Engineering and also Ray Systems for hosting this event. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. As far as the Santa Clara County Fire Department goes, we are faced with several different challenges, being in the heart of Silicon Valley with several large manufacturers of electronic goods. The threat is real as far as terrorism goes, as well as day-to-day hazmat incidents. We cover quite a large area, 114.5 square miles in our first-in jurisdiction, as well as the entire state of California. We're an OES Type 1 hazardous materials response team certified by the state. In order for us to maintain that certification, we have to keep 7 personnel available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And those 7 personnel have to be trained up to the level of hazmat specialist with weapons of mass destruction certification as well. We do that, and on top of that, we also have an additional 7 firefighters and company officers that are trained to that level and or to the level of hazardous materials technician through the state of California. And our hazmat unit does cover that 114.5 square miles. We do have additional resources available within our own jurisdiction. And on that unit itself, we do have a variety of equipment that is required by the state as far as us being a Type 1 hazmat response team, and we also have additional equipment as well. As far as the selection process goes of the equipment that we purchased for the unit, we did have a resource list that we had to work off of, and the equipment that we purchased was based off of that resource list provided by the state. However, we did have some options in purchasing of equipment, and in researching the equipment that we purchased for our department and our response unit. Some of the criterion that we used was obviously cost effectiveness in this budgetary restraint time. That is obviously going to be one of the primary concerns that we're looking at, is how much the equipment is going to cost. And then the functionality of that equipment. Is it going to be capable of taking care of our needs? The scalability, Bobby spoke with that quite a bit as far as scalability with other units as well. Maintenance, the ease of maintenance, and also the cost of maintenance. It's something that a lot of jurisdictions don't really think about once they purchase the equipment. They feel that once they purchase the equipment, they put it in service, and unless they use it, it doesn't need to be maintained. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Maintenance is a large part of what we actually do on a day-to-day basis. We have several dozen monitors on our unit and on our units throughout the department that we need to maintain, and that's not only daily maintenance but monthly maintenance and annual maintenance. And also the ease of use. What I like to say is firefighter proof. There's really nothing that is actually firefighter proof. I think probably a lot of folks that are attending this webinar currently are in the fire service, and they know that a lot of equipment that is purchased that is high tech just doesn't last, just because of the use, and the durability isn't there. It breaks, and it costs a lot of money to basically replace it. And then also another important factor was rapid deployment capabilities. Getting on scene and setting up in a timely manner is very important to first responders, not only protecting ourselves but also our assets and also the general population in which we're out there to protect. And once again, getting back to the primary concern when choosing monitoring equipment is limited budget. It's our fiscal constraints. And the majority of the equipment that is assigned to our hazmat team is grant funded. However, maintenance upgrades have to come out of our own general budget. It's not covered by the grants themselves. Okay, and then the solution, the application as far as the equipment that we chose and that we use on a daily basis. Probably one of the most important things that we have to consider when we're purchasing and using these monitors is LEL and VOCs. That's the most dangerous component to any hazmat call that we'll be responding to. And as far as in a flammable environment, the 4-gas monitors that we chose, we like to set them up in basically the 4 corners of the event, keeping our command and control units outside of obviously the hot zone, more into the support zone. And when we do use these units, we set them up, like I said, in the 4 corners. They're equipped with 4-gas technology as well as gamma and also GPS. And with the software that we have back in the command and control unit, we can see in real time exactly what each one of those monitors are experiencing. We also hook up to that same software a weather pack, a weather station, which is also tied into the software, and it also runs in real time. So it's showing on an incident map the actual monitor locations and the monitor readings in real time, along with the weather in real time. And this is very important when you're going to develop a plume model, which we do in every large-scale event. It's all based on what we're dealing with or what the potential is that we're dealing with, but having a plume model developed rapidly and continuing updating that plume based on the current conditions in real time is paramount when actually creating that plume model and making a decision whether you're going to shelter in place downwind and or you're going to evacuate, and also coming up with the evacuation distances and or shelter in place distances. It'll enable you to come up with the incident action plan as far as what you need to do to take care of the folks that'll be involved downwind primarily. As far as lessons learned goes, tips used to evaluate monitoring equipment, there's several, and we've used several different monitoring manufacturers over the years. But I think a primary one that you need to look at would be the manufacturer reputation and the distributor's knowledge of the product as far as an end user goes. What you need to do is really need to know the manufacturer is going to take care of you and back you. Not only that your equipment comes on time, it comes assembled, ready to go, but also the manufacturer will train your people in how to use the equipment appropriately and also how to maintain that. And doing a hands-on evaluation is also very key. Having the manufacturer actually lend you units, demonstration units that you can use, not only in training but also use as redundant technology on actual response is very important. So you can compare the two technologies and see which one is easier to use, which one is more durable and will hold up on actual calls themselves. And ensure that your personnel are able to maintain the equipment. Once again, that can be a very costly thing is maintenance. And each one of our monitors that we carry requires different maintenance. Some are daily, some are monthly, some are annual. However, it definitely plays into your budget. And if you can keep the cost down based on the technology and the maintenance, it's definitely key in being able to afford this technology and keeping it in a state of readiness at all time. And then lastly, just have your team discuss the pros and the cons of each piece of technology that you're going to be purchasing and or that you already have. And if there's newer technologies out there that you can afford, that'll take the place of an older technology that's just easier to use and a lot more cost effective, then we typically go with that newer technology. And then once again, just a couple of recommendations. Purchase the appropriate equipment for your response model. Every jurisdiction is different. The demographics are different. The layout of the land is different. In our particular response area, like I said, we have several large manufacturers. Without mentioning too many, we have Apple, Google, a lot of electronic companies such as that. And then we also have several different potential areas for terrorism. So based on all of our intelligence, in our response model, we purchase the appropriate equipment to respond to pretty much anything that we can come across regarding your typical hazardous materials response all the way to a terrorist event. And train your personnel to use all of your equipment, and also make sure that they know the limitations of all the equipment. That obviously is key. You don't want to get onto a scene and have to teach your personnel how to use the equipment then. This should be an ongoing training as far as knowing your equipment, how to obviously use it, the appropriateness for each one of the meters that you have, utilizing it in every different situation. And then also maintaining all your equipment to the state of readiness. And that, once again, is a very key factor. If you turn on a monitor, the battery's dead or hasn't been bumped or calibrated recently, it's not going to be in the state of readiness. And in fact, it could give you false readings, which could get your folks into trouble later on down the line. And then constantly upgrade your technologies. And as you upgrade your technologies, just make sure that you continue your training so everyone is aware of the upgrades in your technologies. Just because the monitor might look the same, it doesn't mean that it's doing the same thing. And then just in summary, wireless monitoring will keep your personnel safe from entering a dangerous environment by continuously measuring the LAL and VOC in real time. And I can't say that enough. So many hazmat teams that I train with and that I've trained over the years think that a level A suit, fully encapsulated suit, is the end-all as far as personal protection goes. But just keep in mind that if you have LEL, that plastic suit's not going to do you any good. So just realize that the LEL part of the monitors that we use every day is so important. And to have your folks know what that means prior to it going into alarm, say at 5%. Make sure that you're wearing the appropriate PPE and that you know what environment that you're getting into. And if you do start to see LEL or VOC, that you need to reevaluate what's going on, and then just make sure that you're in the appropriate personal protective equipment prior to taking any further action. And wireless technology enables hazmat teams to protect citizens by effectively developing plume models. And this, as we discussed earlier, as well as Bobby discussed in length earlier, it's very important. It really is, especially when you're in a densely populated area. Being able to develop a plume model in real time and to continually update that, it really makes a huge difference on your incident action planning, not only actively while you're initially doing initial actions on scene, but also later on down the line, just planning on a long-term event, knowing that intel in real time is very important, obviously. And then wireless monitoring allows for fewer committed personnel in the hot zone, and all zones for that matter. It ensures the incident boundaries are maintained, which obviously with weather factors and release rates, your hot zone can obviously switch. You can either expand or reduce in size, and it can also move around. But when you have the wireless technologies in real time showing you exactly what's going on around your boundaries, you can adjust as necessary. Okay, it's going to now be time for questions and answers. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Peter.
All right, Jeff, thank you very much. And I think we have another couple of polling questions coming through, so if folks wouldn't mind taking that opportunity to answer them. And also don't forget that you can submit questions now for our presenters to ask. We got a couple of questions here, and I'm going to start with a couple down towards the end. And I guess this would probably be more of a Bobby question, but one of our listeners asked, is your system compatible with other manufacturers' remote area monitoring systems?
Yeah, so the systems that we provide from Ray Systems, we do have a ability to integrate with other types of systems. In fact, I noticed in this particular question, Peter, it looks like there's also a reference to a specific type of software, and as it so happens, that is one of the ones that we do integrate with actually in real time. There's definitely, as I said, that's really one of the key things to look at when evaluating these types of systems is, is there an ability to take that data? We do offer a couple of different ways where, in some cases, such as the Adashi software that's referenced here, we do actually provide a standard package, if you will, that can integrate with their software. In other cases, if it might be something that's more sensitive, not available to general public, or maybe more of a custom solution, we do provide a means for folks to do some coding to be able to integrate with our system as well.
Okay, and I'm going to ask the other one we got from the audience about do all major manufacturers offer evaluation meters for departments to try out?
I can answer that. This is Jeff, and yes, that's pretty typical. All the major manufacturers, if you show interest in any of their equipment, they will come out, give a presentation based on what your needs are, and they typically will give you a demonstration unit for your use after you've been taught the technology, and they'll give it to you for a limited time so you can evaluate that technology.
Okay. What's the typical wireless range from sensor to software?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take that, Peter. This is Bobby. Yeah, I think the range depends on several factors. So first and foremost, it's really what type of radio technology are we looking at. Referencing some of our solutions specifically here at Ray, we do offer. We try to actually not really limit ourselves when it comes to choosing radios, as we look at it as a means of just getting the sensor data back. So we try to be quite flexible in that regard. Typical range for our types of systems are going to be within 2 or more miles, depending on the terrain. That's one of the other things that I think folks need to really look at is that depending on the type of radio technology and the frequency, some will do better in terms of penetration through walls and obstacles, in terms of interference from other systems. So as much as possible, we try to look at things like, frequency hopping as an example, where the signal is bouncing around to minimize the possibility for interference. We also provide some mesh radios where each detector can take the signal and basically act as a repeater. So there are a lot of different things you can do. And there are ways to extend that distance. So as an example, there are repeaters available. If you're doing a public venue type event where you might have obstacles in the way, you can deploy a repeater to bounce that signal around that major obstacle. And once we do have the data at the controller, if you will, then, if we have web access, again, we can take that and feed it pretty much real time anywhere. But from sensor to software in general, you're looking at a couple miles, depending on sensing technology and terrain. That's going to vary somewhat.
Okay, we got one that asks, in the last section, they were talking about being able to react to changing boundaries. Is there a trainer unit that you could send different readings to a team in monitoring an area to see their reactions to the changing environment?
Yes, so if I understood correctly, the question is in regards to the ability, essentially a training simulator, right, to be able to trigger remote readings to look at the response scenario. Is that correct?
I assume so, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so if that's the case, yeah, certainly that's actually something that we currently are working on. There are some solutions. We do have some monitors that have that ability where you can trigger an alarm remotely. We're actually looking on some of our software solutions. We do already have that capability where you can use a simulator to simulate readings remotely, but that's really more on the to learn how to use on the software side. What we're currently working on and looking to offer is the ability to, since we are communicating remotely with these monitors, is the ability to remotely trigger them into alarm. So that folks can, get a good practice in terms of, okay, what am I looking at here? How do I respond to that? But it's definitely a capability that can be done with these types of solutions.
Okay. We got one asking, what's the advantage to having a standalone PID on the wireless platform?
In terms of the advantage of having a standalone PID, well, I don't know that the standalone, I think there's actually more benefit of having, say, a broadband sensor like a PID coupled with other sensors, say, could be potentially electrochemical sensor or maybe infrared, MEMS technology, something that can potentially help us speciate or nail down more specifically what we're dealing with. In terms of a standalone PID, there's definitely benefits of doing that as well because, again, a PID is a broadband sensor, so it's going to respond to a wide range of chemicals and do so fairly quickly. So, again, as we're talking about this kind of rapid deployment or speed of deployment, if I am able to see those readings remotely real time, that can have a benefit in terms of coordinating, okay, we have something now, we're going to have to take some more measurements or potentially look at physical clues or MSDS sheets if we're talking about a specific incident, the different things you can do to pinpoint the answer. But right away, the ability to get that real-time reading remotely lets me know, look, we got something in the air, let's go investigate further and deal with that.
Okay, we got one asking, do your remote wireless detectors have PIDs? And if they do, what additional value do you see in having that type of sensor in comparison with specific chemical sensors?
Yeah, so certainly we do offer, we have multiple products that use photoionization detectors. And as I mentioned in the previous answer, there is, one of the benefits of having that coupled with other sensors in the same monitor, if you will. The major benefit is that now, we looked at the example of the ammonia during the slide set, but that's one example where both the PID and another sensor type will respond to the same gas, so that now it essentially increases your level of confidence in terms of, is this sensor response real? Because, at the end of the day, short of some, desktop analyzers or more lab analysis type solutions, every single portable monitor or sensing technology is going to show some sort of false response to another gas just by the nature of the way they're designed. So, if we have the ability to measure a particular thread with more than one technology, that is definitely a big benefit.
Okay, we got a question for Jeff asking, what other wireless options did you examine?
We can continuously examine other options. There's several out there. However, we keep going back to the same manufacturer based on the quality and service warranties, training. It's just pretty much not so much a one-horse show, but it's getting down to where the other options that are wireless out there just this is my opinion, just aren't as good as the technology that we chose. However, we always keep our options open, and we always look at all new technologies, regardless of manufacturer.
And also for Jeff, how would I know which wireless gas detection solution would best fit my team?
Yeah, on that, it really depends on what level of team that you have and what situation you're in. In our particular scenario, since we're a state-typed team, we have a select equipment list that we actually need to adhere to. And that kind of determines what sort of equipment we're going to actually purchase. And in saying that, the typical meter, if you just want something basic, get a 4-gas meter. You also want to have radiological detection. And what we normally have would be, on a day-to-day meter, would be a meter that has LEO, HCN, H2S, CO, and also some radiological detection if possible. So you can kind of build the meters with different sensors as needed for your situation. And like I said, it really depends on what sort of a team you have and what your requirements are.
Okay, and we got one asking if this type of system can be used at large venues like fairs and sporting events, and if so, is there EMI and RFI interference that hampers the abilities?
Yeah, Peter, this is Bobby Shakon again. So Certainly, these systems can be used for those types of what I call, public venue type events. I can certainly speak to as far as, Ray wireless systems, in the last 10 years have been used in a variety of such types of events, from all the major professional sporting venues to, concerts, different types of things. There are some things to consider, and this is actually a good example of an area where we do have good support material. We have some application notes, some guides that describe, what are the best deployment scenarios and practices when doing these types of events, both indoor, outdoor, things like the HVAC system, and also from the wireless standpoint. So, I can speak to real-world examples where, we've had stadiums where our equipment was being used and turned out that there's a cell tower, inside the stadium itself, which was causing interference. So there's some general best practices that you can do. So just to give you some real examples, a bandpass filter is a tool that can be used, essentially depending on the wireless wireless radio technology you're using. You can truncate the frequency, so if you know that you might have interference from, in that case, let's say a cell tower or something, you can minimize that potential impact of that. Again, ultimately, I think for a lot of those types of events, the good teams or, the good practice is that they'll, do a dry run. There are some things that you might find some surprises on the real day because obviously there's some factors you can't control. But in general, these systems are really field proven in terms of the ability to be used in those types of environments.
Okay, so we got another question asking, can the wireless system be deployed in a city and be able to be observed from a command post in another city a couple hundred miles away?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, assuming that you have some sort of access to the internet at what we'll call the host controller or the command post, once we have that data, and it is secure over a web interface, and you do have to have the proper, login and password to be able to do that. But you can absolutely take that information and pretty much go with it anywhere globally from multiple locations, viewing real time.
Okay, and I think we'll probably wrap up with that. I know there are a couple other questions coming in, and I'm sure that we'll be able to pass those on to you folks, to Bobby and Jeff, in case they want to answer privately, but I think we're running out of time here. So I'd just like to say thank you to everybody. On behalf of Fire Engineering and Penwell Corporation, I'd like to thank both Bobby Shekan and of Ray Systems and Jeff Schwerdtfeger of Santa Clara County, and also our sponsors, Ray Systems, for today's presentation, benefits of wireless gas detection for emergency response teams. And this presentation will be archived within 24 hours, and you'll be able to access it from our homepage at fireengineering.com. A reminder email message for the archive will be sent to everybody who registered, complete with a direct link to the archive. And we'd like to thank everybody who joined us today, and look forward to future webcasts.